Hi everybody, this is Barry Schwartz. This is the news we covered over the past week at the Search Engine Roundtable. Today is June 8th, Friday. Just a note for next week, I'll be in Germany, in Hanover, giving a speech at the Alan's Web's SEO conference. So if you're in Germany and you're able to come, that'll be great. I'm giving a talk about Google updates over the past several years, probably 10 plus years, and where you should be going in the future with that. It's more of a overall look at the trends Google has been taking algorithmically and how that should going forward. In any event, I'm looking forward to that. So I probably will not be doing a video next week. I return Sunday afternoon, so maybe I'll do one Monday, maybe not. We'll see. Maybe I'll skip a week if possible. In any event, a lot going on this week. A lot of cool stuff came out of XMX Advanced. It was a great show, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. First thing that I'm really excited about is that Google finally came out with a final stance, as of today at least, of their recommendations for mobile SEO. They specifically recommend, if you can, and if it makes sense for your business, to go with a responsive design, meaning use one URL, same HTML, just format the design differently based off of the device accessing that content. That is what they recommend. You don't have to do anything else. If you're doing a one URL, one HTML approach with different CSS, that's all you have to do. And if you do that, then you're fine. You don't have to worry about anything else. It'll be more crawl efficient for Google, meaning they don't have to crawl different URLs. It will be they don't have to crawl different content. It's all one crawler. They don't have to worry about it, and they can figure it out. It's also good for your link equity because they don't have to figure out redirects and stuff like that. And it's also sometimes easier for the developers to actually put it together that way. So those are the reasons that Google thinks it's also sometimes better for your users. But they understand that it's not the best solution in every situation. There's a lot of cases, and most sites out there actually have different URLs for their mobile sites. That might change, that might not, but there's a lot of technical issues with using responsive design. There's a lot of technical issues with using one URL, and there's a lot of conversion issues with doing so. And Google understands that, so they are able to support the dynamic or device-specific approach, and depends on which approach you do. If you have different HTML approach or different device-specific approach with different HTML and the same URL, Google wants you to use the HTTP vary header as a hint for Googlebot to send Googlebot smartphone to that URL to crawl the site. So again, different design, different HTML, same URL, use the HTTP vary header. And two is if you use different HTML and a different URL, like an m. or a /mobile or whatever approach, Google wants you to use the rel alternate on the desktop version and use the canonical on the mobile version. This gets very, very technical. That's a summary of it. There's a whole detailed technical guideline on how to do this at developers.google.com/webmasters/smartphone-sites, and we have links to this on June 7th at seoroundtable.com. Other news that came out of XMX Advanced this week that Matt Cutts said, most likely, which means they probably are working on it already, that Google's working on a tool to disavow links pointing to your website. We discussed it about a week or so. I discussed how it's not necessarily a win-win situation for Google and SEOs. I think it's more of a win-win situation just for Google. But that being said, Google in the upcoming months, I said it would definitely be out within 6 months by the end of the year. Or so, and Google said probably within the next few months, I guess 3 months or so, Google will have a tool within Webmaster Tools to disavow links. I'm not sure if it's going to be basically upload a list of URLs and say don't trust them, or if you go through your links in an inbound links report saying I disavow these links. But Google will have some type of tool that lets webmasters go ahead and disavow links. I'm not going to get into the why it's good, bad thing. I talked about that last week. If you want to see that, check my video out from last week. I think last week, or the week before. Yahoo Site Explorer has returned. Yahoo Site Explorer, which was discontinued, I think last year, which was one of the first instrumental tools supported by a search engine for the SEO community to do competitive link analysis, has returned in Bing Webmaster Tools. It's called Bing Link Explorer. It's a great tool. It's actually I think it's a little bit better than the Site Explorer tool. Has a lot of cool features, like you could type in anybody's URL, you could filter by site, and add additional queries, just search for anchor text specifically, internal or external sources, and also scope the URL as well. So it's a fairly cool tool, and that comes with what's called the Phoenix update to Google Bing Webmaster Tools, and they have a whole new user experience, new design. They have new SEO reports, new SEO analyzer, a new fetch as Bing bot, canonical alerts system, and they also updated the URL removal tool. They've updated the keyword research tool, and they updated the URL normalization tool. There's a lot of details of what they've changed. We have some more information at June 7th at SEOroundtable.com. This is one of the biggest and most exciting Bing Webmaster Tool launches I've seen pretty much ever. I'm very excited about this. Mostly because of the Yahoo Site Explorer feature, but of course a lot of other features as well. Also, that came out of XMX Advanced, and this is all stuff that has been announced during XMX Advanced, which is pretty cool. During the U&A with Matt Cutts, basically Matt Cutts and Danny Sullivan talking, Q&A, and with open audience, Matt Cutts wanted to make something very clear, that if you get a Webmaster Tools notification, an email from Google in Webmaster Tools, about a penalty of some sorts, like you get an email saying inorganic links, you get an email saying you have spam here, or you've been demoted, or whatever it might be, those are not automated penalties. Those are always, almost always, he said, 99% of the time they are manual action penalties taken to your site. They are not something Penguin related, and not something Panda related. It's not a automated link penalty. It is pretty much somebody at Google looking at your website and clicking a demote button for some reason on your website, and then they'll send out and they're 99% of the time they will now send out a notification saying you have been hit. Back last year they didn't do that. Maybe 40-30% of the time they sent out a notification that you've been hit, but they didn't send it out for black hat techniques specifically, that they call black hat techniques, and now they're doing pretty much communication for any site that's been hit for any reason. They're going to go ahead and tell you, and that's why there's been a lot of confusion. I personally even thought that a lot of these messages were automated. They are not. They are all manual, probably templated, but they're all manual based off of manual action, which is pretty impressive because in like 2 months Google sent out 700,000 of these messages. Can you imagine? So we have more information about that on June 6th. Last night Google came out with their monthly report saying what changes they made to search quality, and there were 39 changes they made. One thing that stood out to me, and obviously a bunch of them, but one thing that actually stood out to me specifically was the Penguin comment. They said in their thing there was improvement to Penguin. The launch codename was TWREF2, project codename Page Quality. This month we rolled out a couple minor tweaks to improve signals and refresh data that used by the Penguin algorithm. So initially I thought when Penguin came out and they updated it on Penguin 1.1 on May 25th, May 26th, Matt wrote in his tweet, there was a minor weather report. We pushed first Penguin algo data refresh an hour ago. Specifically, that meant to me that it was just a data refresh, not an algo tweak change where they changed tweaks. But according to this, there were a couple minor tweaks to the algo. Matt Cutts also mentioned that they actually made tweaks to the algorithm in XMX Advanced, so that was one distinction I probably should address to people who watched the video back then when I talked about the Penguin refresh. And there were sites that came out of the Penguin update, and Matt Cutts said one of those was the WordPress design theme site that came out, and some other sites, and some obviously other new sites have been hit by it. Other things that I wanted to point out in this update that Google sent out last night was Google has said they have better application of inorganic backlink signals, so they have an algorithm in place that's designed to detect link schemes and common spam techniques, so they've updated that. They also have a smoother ranking functions for freshness, a bunch of freshness updates, better detection of searches for looking for fresh content, and fresh algorithm simplification when they cleaned up the code for that. They also made some changes to how they handle all titles and HTML titles, title generations, and title tag generations from based off anchor text. So a lot of people were complaining in the forums in the past month or so about how Google's changed the title, so it's probably related to that. I've heard some issues from news providers, news publications saying they no longer rank well on Google News, and Google says they made improvements to ranking for news results. So that is probably related to that. And finally, the other thing that's that they have deeper detection for hacked pages. And there was a lot of discussion about tablets and how they detect tablets and localization and mobile types of stuff. So a lot of discussion here. Obviously, the stuff about knowledge graph and stuff that I didn't discuss, but if you want to take a look at that, we have a link to it on June 8th, which is today at SEOroundtable.com. Also, we posted our June Webmaster report where we discussed the major changes over the past month or so, according to how we've seen it. The webmasters have seen it in Google. And the main things was that there was a Panda update. We discussed version 3.6. There was a PageRank update this past month. There was a launch of a knowledge graph. And they also did some revamp to the Google Plus pages. Google Places and now Google Plus Local. And also, obviously, the Penguin update, which we just discussed a second ago. There's obviously a lot of discussion about chatter and stuff like that, but we have a whole list of the most important topics over the past month that I think of as the most important topics over the past month on June 4th at SEOroundtable.com. Great rant from Danny Sullivan 2 days ago at XMX Advanced during the Ask the SEO session, which is always a great session, but Danny Sullivan probably took about 10-15 minutes or so. I don't even know exactly, probably 10 minutes. Just going off of a crazy rant about links, because what happens is you have people in the audience submitting questions via form, and like probably 80% of those questions are all about links. How can we get links? What's the best way of getting links? And it just drove Danny insane because he gets all these links things all the time, and all we see is link questions all the time. So he went off on this crazy rant about how the old days people actually got links from sites that actually sent traffic, and how people are just looking for quick and easy schemes to get links and stuff like that. And it's not about building links. It's not about link building. It's more about your content being deserving of earning links. So you definitely want to take a listen to this rant. He also wrote a blog post at Search and Land last night about what it means to get hard links and not easy links. It's definitely worth a listen to when you have time over the weekend. June 8th at SEOroundtable.com. We have all the links to this information. Google Plus local pages, like we discussed last week, is out. If you want to go ahead and give it a try for your business, they have a special forum that most people don't know about. They actually just posted about it last night, where you can actually fill out a form and be one of the early beta testers for a special Google Plus page for your business. I think you have to have a storefront for it. So if you want to get that link, we have a link to it on June 8th at SEOroundtable.com. Google News has deprecated the syndication tag. So back in the day, back in November 2010, Google News thought it would be a good idea to come out with a tag which basically gave the publishers the ability to say, hey, my content that I wrote here is actually being syndicated from over there. We didn't write it, it's somebody else. They thought public publishers would actually say, we're not the original source of this content. They actually thought a publisher would say, we're not the exclusive. Every publisher says they're the exclusive, the original source. In any event, they got rid of that feature. I guess nobody was using it. They didn't say why they got rid of it. They just got rid of it. And around that time, actually, they did that Google News change, which we discussed in the 39 changes before. One great thing for AdWords advertisers is, remember we talked about the ad rotation stopping after 30 days and then sticking to you whichever ad rotation, whichever option they thought was best for you. So Google announced, based off of advertiser feedback, they're now giving you two new things. One is they're changing it so they can actually opt out of it. You can fill out a special form and you can opt out of the ad rotation, so you can always have it. And two is they're extending the ad rotation period from 30 days to 90 days. It's great to see Google make those changes. Jim Boykin from Internet Marketing Ninjas, formerly Webuild Pages, has bought SEO Chat and the whole Developer Chat network. SEO Chat was the first SEO community forum that I actually actively participated in, which is it's kind of meaningful to me. Jim Boykin was also the number 2 member there, but I definitely was there for years early on, back in 2002 or so, when they launched. And I was a moderator there back then, and it's where I actually met a lot of people in the SEO community. So it's nice to see SEO Chat, which was originally owned by Darren Ward, come back to the SEO community, where it was bought by Jim Boykin, who's part of the SEO community. Hopefully he'll take charge of it and lead it to the next generation. Jim actually announced today that he hired Darren Ward to lead that community, so it's nice to see that as well. Congratulations to Jim Boykin and his whole team, and to Darren Ward and the SEO Chat community and the whole Developer Chat network. That sounded kind of very official and political. Anyway, XMX Advanced was this week. It was great. We have a lot of live blog coverage. So does Outspoken Media. So does Bruce Clay. And so do a lot of other places. Gil at Managing Greatness has a great recap of the greatest lines. Some great conversations and people there. It was definitely a privilege to be there and to be part of it. And for all those who didn't make it, you can always check out the live blog coverage, but it's really worth going to, I think, in person. It's one of those conferences that is really great to have. In any event, today, again, is June 8th. This is the Search Buzz Video Recap. My name, again, is Barry Schwartz. This is the news we covered over the past week at the Search and Roundtable at SEOroundtable.com. Next week, again, I'll be in Germany, so I probably won't be doing this video on Friday. Everyone have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next in a week or two. Everyone, be well. Bye.